3013.
From the sidelines on 1580 KGAL.
You know, I've always considered myself to be on the cutting edge of things, and many times through the years, I may have done things on the radio that were not normally done. But there's one that I never thought of, and you know, it makes me realize that toward the end, before the sequester, that probably I was getting a little stale and not coming up with the unique ideas. I liked that idea of they had Mark Werkhoven doing the news, which is always good. But, you know, sometimes in the course of the day, the news gets a little bit irritating. I mean, you know, you don't want to hear bad stories. Not that there were any, but just in case, sometimes, you know, you go away from that. And you want to hear something just light. In this case, cooking information. Paula Deen combining something to do with Paula Deen with Mark and his news is a brilliant idea. You take your choice. And, you know, the whole corporate thing, I'm pointing to my right down the way, you know, that thing, the big thing that has destroyed radio. They've got 6 different radio stations there. And if you want, hey, you want country, we got country. You want rock and roll, we got rock and so on. We have taken a step up. You want news? Bang, Mark. You want cooking? We've got Paula Deen. And I never thought of that. And to tell you the truth, if there were anybody at this radio station who was going to think that kind of stuff, that kind of, I would call it very cutting edge, it probably would have been me. And I didn't. And it makes me realize that I probably was not, 35 last October, getting up there and beginning to fail a little bit. Well, good morning. I'm Radio Ray, and welcome to Toasting. Wait, which one is it? Welcome to morning. Give me what is the cue card? It's been a week. Is this From the Sidelines? I love that show. Is this? Oh, that's great. Welcome to From the Sidelines. I'm Radio Ray. Over there there's nobody sitting in that chair over there. Oh, Dave Adams is sort of there, but I think Wally will be joining us here this morning. It's 1 week after the sequester, and I'll tell you this, that it's like any kind of a sporting activity. You know, if you're not involved in that sport and you take a little time off, you're going to get out of the groove. It's only been 1 week, and I couldn't remember which button here through this little pipe thing. What do they call that? What do they call this thing here, this pipe thing? Microphone. I wasn't sure which button turned on the microphone and which, where you talk. Everything had gone into computers. And then right at the start here, I started to talk into the computer. I thought, it's just, you begin to lose. It is like the training for any activity. If you're not constantly involved in it, you're going to lose some of the, some of the sharpness. It's been an interesting week with the sequester. And a quick explanation of the sequester. 14 years, 7 figures. I appreciate that. Nice salary. But you can't just stay where you are. You will always have to do something to advance in life. So I asked for 8 figures. I understood that was going to be difficult, and I understand the decision why I couldn't get it. One is that's a lot of money. Well, 2, do I deserve it? Well, 2, obviously, of course. But it was a lot of money, so we couldn't get the 8 figures, had to cut back on the services, just like the federal sequestration. And I still do some of the sports, some various things around the radio station. I come in once a week, I clean. Hey, you can go cold turkey a little bit on the morning program, but the salary, you cannot go cold turkey on the salary. And I had the insurance scam thing going and the identity theft. But some of those are a little bit, society kind of frowns on some of them. So you got to come up with something a little more accepted, which is the maintenance. I'll tell you, if you come into the KGAL studios, the downtown ones, the Lebanon ones, I should say, if you go in, you have not seen that place look better since I took over the maintenance at the place. It looks good. But the first week, of sequestration was interesting because come 3:20 in the morning, when I used to get up, I still wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I've always been awake. I always woke up about 3 o'clock so that I could turn off the alarm so that I would not wake up Mary Jo, who would be sleeping through it at that point. And I'll tell you, this is the truth, that in all the years that I did this, very seldom did that alarm ever go off. I would always be awake, maybe even about 2:30, and every 10 minutes looking at the clock. That still happened in the first week. I've got to get over that. But the great thing is, you wake up about 2:30, you roll over and you look at the clock, and the first thing that would hit me on the first couple of days was, oh, how am I going to get up? And the next thing that would settle in, you don't have to. Ladies and gentlemen, there is nothing to match that. So may I say to Jane, my trophy wife computer, with whom a couple of years ago had been married for many years at KGAL to a fine computer. We had our differences, but every marriage is going to have, little quarrels, little spats, little things that I didn't like. But it was the station that decided to get the divorce, and they went with what I call my trophy wife computer, Jane. Lord knows it was newer, younger, prettier, had all these colors, yellow and blue and white and green, and very pretty. 2 weeks in, you're sick. You say, why did I do this? Why did we just stick with Old Faithful? That was the case. So, Jane and I battled continually. If you listen to the morning update, you know that's the case. And to Jane, I've been away from Jane for 1 week. And Jane, I know you're listening down there because you still control my life. You're still running this program. Even though I'm here in our downtown Albany studios, I basically have no say over anything other than I will press the button to begin the next activity, perhaps if that is working this morning. But the actual broadcast is you, Jane. So let me say this. I was unkind to you through the years. I said a lot of things. In the last many months, I threatened to go De Niro on you from the movie Goodfellas, and that is take a baseball bat and whack it, smash. You see, that's not funny. Why am I laughing? That's a terrible... Jane, I did not mean to laugh. That was a terrible thing to say. And Jane, I have been away from you for just 1 week. And I will say this to you. Sweetheart, God, I'm glad to be away from you. It has made a whole new person out of me. I am so glad that we split, Jane. I cannot speak enough of it. Jane, you got the studio, which I would have preferred to have kept. I would have preferred to have been there for the morning update. You got the studio, but you know what I got, sweetheart? I got peace of mind. And you can't put a price on that. Maybe 8 figures. If the station had come up with the 8 figures, maybe I could have put a price on it, but that said, it's been a good thing. And it's nice to be home, spending more time with my actual wife, Mary Jo. She said to me on Tuesday, I'm a little concerned, about funds now that you're into the sequester. The Social Security thing and $3 every 2 weeks is not going to do a lot. You got to eat cheaply, go to the cheap places. But on Monday, Mary Jo said to me, I'm going to the nursery. I thought, I hope it's the flower nursery. Don't be going to the other nursery. I know we're going to be empty nest this summer with my son getting married, but so I was a little worried. But it was the flower nursery. And we've been working in the backyard all week. And I'll tell you, not only does the KGAL studio, since I'm now a maintenance man part-time, look better, but so does the yard. The yard has never looked better. And that was a nice thing because truthfully, and this is the truth, I would go early in the morning, go several hours outside, I'm cutting the lawn, there's all kinds of stuff out there to do. And I would go for a swim out at the Fern Ridge Reservoir, which is down about 11 feet. About 2 weeks from now, it's going to be too empty to swim. Swam for 4 days, came back, worked in the yard again, and I knew that, hey, it's great, I've got a lot to fill my time. And then came the question, there will be a day when everything in the yard is done. Except, a little upkeep at that point, cutting the lawn. And in the summer, you don't have to do that except to cut the dandelions out in the country. And the Fern Ridge Reservoir is probably going to be down to a level where you can't swim this summer. What do you do then? Uh-oh. Does anybody else have any maintenance work that you need done? You know, a little cleaning, a little scrubbing and things. Just give me a call. Give me a call at the radio station. We can work it out. I guess Wally is not coming today, and I wouldn't have gotten that message. I'm surprised that nobody told me from down at the station. He must have called the station, but probably left a phone message for me. I can't get the phone messages anymore. So we're alone, but we've got some things that we need to talk about here this morning from the sidelines. Cliff Kirkpatrick, who you may know him as from a byline in the Gazette-Times, particularly baseball. And how about the Beavers? Frightened us again last weekend, but they did it. They won the regional, exciting fashion. A couple of those games, never would have thought it was going to happen. But they won. They move on to the Super Regional. And by the way, the game is not today. It is easy to think that the Super Regional would be played today, tomorrow, and Sunday. It begins tomorrow. So if the Beavers go 2 games, whichever way it would go, Kansas State is the opponent, then it would end on Sunday. But should there be a 3rd game, that actually would be on Monday. Which, I don't see why they would do that. Why couldn't they play Friday evening as they generally do, Saturday and Sunday to accommodate the crowds? If you go to a game 3, which is the pivotal game, and the one that will determine whether they move on to Omaha in the College World Series, you want a stadium that's packed. Why would it be necessary? Hopefully it's not. Hopefully the Beavers will win Saturday and Sunday. Then it would not be necessary. But if it were, why would you want that game played on Monday night? That's awfully tough for people to get out on a Monday evening to come to the game. And you want the stadium as full as it can be. I would think that Oregon State would fight for a Friday, Saturday, and then, if necessary, Sunday. And maybe they did. I mean, I haven't seen the Gazette-Times. Maybe it was just something with Kansas State. I don't know. But that seems a little unusual. That said, the Super Regional begins tomorrow for Oregon State and Kansas State. And Cliff Kirkpatrick, who covers baseball for the GT, has written a book called Oregon State University Baseball, Building a Legacy. It is nicely done. It covers Pat Casey, his background, and Pat coming to Oregon State, the first few years at Oregon State, building the team. When he first came, the stadium was certainly not what it is today. I remember being over at Clue Radio and working there in Corvallis when they basically came in. They didn't tear down the whole stadium, but they raised the dugouts, that is R-A-Z-E-D, the dugouts, and put in new dugouts, and then eventually worked on the field, increasing the seating capacity and the press box, and all of it was changed little by little. And Pat really was the motivating force behind that. And now to the point where they are two-time world champions, world college champions, how we overvalue them sometimes. And the story of how he worked on getting his team to that point, and some things about Pat Casey and the teams, a little background on some of the players. Very interesting. If you like Oregon State baseball, this book, it's called Oregon State University Baseball, Building a Legacy. I know it would be available at the OSU bookstore on campus. Cliff Kirkpatrick is the one who put it together, and we'll talk with him by phone in the course of our program today. We'll take our first break. We'll come back. This is Toast and which one did we say? Morning Up? Is it From the Sidelines? You sure? This is From the Sidelines, and I am whoever I was last week. I've forgotten, but I'll be back in a moment.
Hey, you're invited to the Crowfoot Baptist Church 50th Anniversary Celebration Block Party, June 8th, this Saturday at 4 p.m. Fun for the whole family with a bounce house and other activities for kids. Free meals starting at 4:30. Classic car exhibit, Faith, Hope, Love, and Gospel, House of Cash concert at 6:30. And it's all free. Don't miss the Crowfoot Baptist Church 50th Anniversary Celebration Block Party this Saturday, June 8th at 4 p.m. 699 Cascade Drive in Lebanon. For more information, call 541-908-4565. Albany Grocery Outlet Bargain Market across from the Heritage Mall has Senior Day, the first Tuesday of every month. $2 off every purchase of $15 or more. Seedless watermelon, only $2.99. 35-pack Crystal Geyser water, just $3.99. And 2 pounds of delicious and satisfying red or green grapes, only $2.99. See store for details. And remember, Senior Day now at Albany Grocery Outlet Bargain Market. 100% satisfaction guaranteed across from the Heritage Mall with bargains on the brands you trust.
There are a lot of things we need to talk about in the Mid-Willamette Valley. Hi, I'm Dave Adams, KGAL Radio. We want to have those conversations on this radio station live. That's what we do every Monday through Friday from 11 to noon. Maybe it's taxes, roads, government, city councils, school boards, whatever. I also want to know what you want to talk about. Email me, dave@kgal.com, and join the conversation. Valley Talk, 11 a.m., Monday through Friday. News Talk, 1580 KGAL.
Stand by for a free offer.
I want to tell you about the Fountain of Youth by Pure Attitude. It's a non-toxic, all-natural, power-packed anti-aging, waterless formula serum with 100% active ingredients. It creates dramatic results, firmer skin, and less visible wrinkles. It's like Botox in a bottle. The Fountain of Youth was developed by award-winning chemist and health and beauty expert to the stars, David Pollack. When recently featured on the Today Show, all they could say was, "I love it." This incredible product increases skin oxygenation, boosts collagen, increases hydration and cell renewal, and results in a tighter, firmer appearance to your face with less visible wrinkles. And now, we want to let you try it for free. Go to freefountainofyouth.com and you'll receive a free 14-day trial of the Fountain of Youth. Just pay a small shipping and handling fee. It makes a great gift because it's beautifully packaged, and you'll love the new you after using dermatologist approved and recommended the Fountain of Youth. Go to freefountainofyouth.com.
American Legion Post 10 in Albany is opening their doors to the brand new American Legion Hall with a grand opening ceremony scheduled for Flag Day, Friday, June 14th. American Legion Post 10 is publishing a magazine dedicated to the history of their service to veterans, service members, and the community since 1919. You're invited to share your story of a friend or loved one in the armed forces, past or present, for this tribute magazine. Call 541-401-1063 and submit your article. The American Legion Post 10, Oregon's largest American Legion for 97 years.
The news you need, smart talk, and just enough sports. That's what you'll get from News Talk 1580 KGAL.
Oh, that's nice. Do I miss things with the sequester? I miss the Baja Mashugna Band. My own personal band for so many years. My producer, Carlton Dampour, is not with me any longer. He wanted a full-time job. Carlton Dampour was with Dampour Production for 40 years. 40 years since I started doing radio. He's off somewhere. Probably with the corporate group. They deserve him. Well, welcome back from the sidelines this Friday morning. I'm Ray. I'm not sure if it is correct to call myself Radio Ray anymore. And to tell you, I would say truthfully, that's one of the things that hurt. Talking to people who didn't know that I was sequestering. And somebody raised the question of, are you still Radio Ray? Well, I don't know, because it's not it's not 5 days a week and plus. Maybe it's just Ray. But it cannot be Ray Pitts. That's why it became Radio Ray in the first place. The first day I sat down in radio and I realized I can't say, hello, I'm Ray Pitts. It just does not work on the radio. I've told the story several times about selling hearing aids in San Francisco. When I came to the West Coast, I wanted to see San Francisco. That was the thing in the 70s, just to come out to see California, and in particular to see San Francisco. And on my way west, my car, which was an automatic Volkswagen, the first year that Volkswagen had built automatics. They had never done that before, and they said it was a little bit off on the heat. When you drove through the heat, which I was driving through the South, driving through all the southern states and whatever they are, Minnesota, North Dakota, what are those southern states? One of which is Texas. And it threw a rod through the block in Texas, and I had to spend a week down there to get it repaired. And when I got out to the West Coast, I needed a job. So I stayed in San Francisco for a while, and I sold hearing aids, and decided it was okay. It was nice to be in San Francisco. I had a nice view from the apartment in San Francisco, so I stayed for a time. But while selling hearing aids, I really began to realize how difficult the name was. When I would go to a door of a home working for Beltone Hearing Aids, you would say, hello, I'm Ray Pitts from Beltone. And sometimes, of course, we knew that somebody in that house was hard of hearing, and it often would be the person who answered the door. And so I would say to this individual who cannot quite hear that well, say, hello, I'm Ray Pitts, and if it was a woman, let's say it is a female, an older, elderly woman who answers the door and she can't hear that well. And I say, hello, I'm Ray Pitts from Beltone. Now imagine what she's hearing. Hello, I'm Ray Pitts. Hello, I'm a rapist from Beltone. And she would slam the door. And this is true. This part is true. Occasionally I would get that door slammed. Now, whether it was because she thought that's what she heard or just they didn't want, anybody from Beltone. Well, that said, I began to realize that Ray Pitts was not a good name. And when I sat down at a microphone, it became Radio Ray and stayed that way ever after. But can I say that now? Vote on it. Twitter me or tweet me at somebody's Twitter or tweet box. I don't have one. maybe it'll go viral, and I will find out. Several weeks ago, we had our first guess at which major league manager would be fired, the first one to be fired, and I suggested Eric Wedge of Seattle. This is true. Basically, the day after I said that, Seattle started winning. They went on a winning streak, and they were playing well, and they took the heat off Eric Wedge. That heat is back on again without anybody being fired yet. So many were fired last year and at the end of the season that it is difficult right now to tell who might be fired. Some of them are bottom feeders again, but they just hired the manager this year. They're not going to fire him a couple of months in, so it eliminates several likely candidates. But Eric Wedge is one that's close to the bottom and not that far in front of Houston. And Houston is truly a bottom feeder at 22-39, 15 games out of first place. They were a bottom feeder in the National League, moved over to the American to balance things this year, same number of teams in each league. And Houston is once again at the bottom, 22-39, 15 out, but Seattle is 11 games out. Keeping them in there is the fact that the Angels are 10.5 out, and they're slipping again after playing well. Mike Scioscia, whenever I discuss this with anybody off the air, Mike Scioscia, we always mention that name. Would they fire him? He's a longtime manager of the Angels, but they're skidding again, 10.5 games out. Oakland not that they'll fire the manager. Oakland is an amazing team. Once again, they are just, do you realize they're only a half game back of Texas? 37-25. Quickly, name 5 players in Oakland. Hey, come on. I know Wally's not here today, but I don't have that much time to stall. 5 players on Oakland. Give me 5. Tell me to name 5 players. Let me see if I can find. Here they are. Coco Crisp. Jed Lowry, who went to North Salem High School, formerly with the Red Sox. Yoenis Cespedes, who almost won the Rookie of the Year award last year. Judson. You know how they shorten the names in the stats? Brandon Moss, former Red Sox. Josh Reddick, former Red Sox. How many is that? I hope that's 4 or 5. They're amazing. They're only a half game out. And Los Angeles just loaded with talent, paying these guys millions. They are 10.5 back. Mike Scioscia has to be a candidate regardless of his long standing. The other name we mentioned a couple of weeks ago beyond Eric Wedge was Don Mattingly, and the Dodgers started to improve a little bit, but they're still in last place, 7.5 out. Arizona, San Francisco, Colorado, San Diego, even Colorado and San Diego, and Colorado's playing well, but San Diego even ahead of the Dodgers. He remains one of the candidates. I still think Eric Wedge. Still sticking with my original pick that if the Mariners don't start improving, Eric Wedge is probably gone. Baseball, yesterday, Jacoby Ellsbury got back. Last week, he stole 5 bases. Was it last? No, it was before I sequestered. It had to be a week ago yesterday. He stole 5 bases in a game for the Red Sox. I didn't know this at the time. It was against the Phillies. Philadelphia presented him with a base after the game. They gave him a base. He had stolen it, so they basically said, this is yours. This is yours to keep. 5 stolen bases. But I was afraid after that, with him running like that. He has been subject to injury. He's been prone to injury. Sure enough, he missed something like 5 games in succession until he returned last night. He went 4 for 5 last night, scored a couple of runs, did not steal a base, had a couple of doubles, 4 for 5, 2 runs scored. Not bad. His average has improved somewhere about 280 right now. He was one of the miracle finds of the Oregon State Beavers. And we happened to be up at Washington a couple of years back. It would probably be, the early 2000s. when the Red Sox were up there to play the Mariners. The Beavers were there against Washington the same weekend. So where we were staying in downtown Seattle, it's not far at all from the University of Washington. It's just a matter of minutes. We went out to the University of Washington to see the Beaver game. Now, at the same time that the Beavers were playing baseball against Washington, the Oregon softball team was there playing Washington. And my son at that point, who had, I think, just graduated from the U of O, I said very quietly, U of O student, he knew some of the young women on the softball team. So he went to the softball diamond while I went into the baseball park to see the Beavers. Now, softball only being 7 innings, that game ended, and I heard the final score over the speaker and knew that he would be entering the baseball diamond. So I went by the entrance and stood there as the game continued until Ryan entered the stadium. Now, at this point, rather than go and sit in the bleachers, I said, well, you know, I was sitting right in the middle of some Washington fans. Why don't we go over and stand next to the Oregon State dugout? There's a couple of people standing there by the fence, behind, right adjacent to the Oregon State dugout. I said, there, you know, nobody's saying anything. It was probably about the 7th inning of the game by that point. I said, let's see if we can go stand there without being, you know, kicked out. So we did. We went in the stand, stood next to these 2 people that were there. And when we finished the first half inning, standing by the fence next to the Oregon State dugout, Ryan motions to me and he says, come here. We walked away from the fence, walked back several feet, and he said to me quietly, do you know who that is? Pointing to the man that was been standing just to my right. And I said, no. He said, that's Theo Epstein. And already, I suppose I would have only been 26, 27 at the time. I was beginning to fail a little bit in my recall. Since it was the Beavers, I thought we were talking about somebody connected, maybe with the Beaver football team, something of that sort. I said, Theo Epstein. He said, Theo Epstein, the architect, and this must have been 2005, the architect of the world champion Boston Red Sox team, the general manager. I said, wow, that's Theo Epstein? He said, yes. So we went back to the fence, and at one point, Theo Epstein, just a young guy, who was in his 30s, casually dressed, looked like anybody off the street. I said, excuse me, Mr. Epstein, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to tell you on behalf of Red Sox fans everywhere, and Red Sox fans of the past, the present, and the future, thank you. Bless you and your family for what you did. He had made several key trades. He smiled, and we shook hands, and then he said, security, and he got me thrown out of the park. No, he did not. But the reason that he was there, he was scouting the center fielder for Oregon State, Jacoby Ellsbury, who now plays for the Boston Red Sox and is, of course, my favorite player. I check those stats every day for Jacoby Ellsbury. I love the Red Sox, of course, love Oregon State baseball. There's a book by Cliff Kirkpatrick called Oregon State University Baseball Building a Legacy. We will get him on the phone. If I can remember now, what did I do with, you know what? I'm not sure. What did I do with his number? Let's see. You know what? I may have trouble finding Cliff Kirkpatrick's number here because the sheet of paper where I wrote it down, I believe I put it in my bag last night. It was a particular paper here, and I forgot. It's not in the use because I always had a place where I would write these names when I was working Monday through Friday, and I had just outwitted myself. And believe me, that's not difficult. If you're me, that's not difficult at all. By putting that sheet of paper with his number somewhere where I cannot find it. Dave, could I ask you a favor? Could you check the Gazette Times phone number? I'll put in a call to them. Do you have a computer where you could check that? And I'll put in a call to the Gazette Times and see if we can get a hold of Cliff Kirkpatrick. I don't know what I did with that sheet of paper. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll take our break, and when we come back, I hope, because he's going to be waiting, I will concentrate and try to think, what did I do with that? You know what I did? I put it in the pants that I was going to be wearing today. I'm wearing shorts. It's not my fault. It's Mother Nature. We'll see if we can get a hold of Cliff Kirkpatrick. I hope so, and talk about his book, Oregon State Baseball, Building a Legacy, when we come back. Well, one thing hasn't changed. It's always intriguing, isn't it? Sequester or no sequester, every Friday's a real trip. We'll continue that trip in a moment.
The Osgood File, sponsored in part by Identity Guard. When you get top-rated Identity Guard identity theft protection for less than $1 a day, life is good. Sign up now at identityguard.com/dollar. This is Charles Osgood on the CBS Radio Network. The big tall buildings of a modern big city can create a so-called canyon effect when you're trying to navigate your way around using a GPS system. Now, some inventors in Madrid think they may have a way around that.
It is able to predict a trajectory that is much more accurate than the GPS signal alone.
What it is after this.
In mid-sized companies, the left hand needs to know what the right hand is doing. When they do, business can take on a whole new rhythm, especially with IBM's Smart Cloud Engage Advanced. It combines communities, web meetings, and file sharing with business-grade email in one security-rich environment, making it the smarter way to collaborate. Register now for your 60-day free trial at ibm.com/engines/engage.
Membership helps Strictly Bicycles keep business tuned.
Building a bike is like building a small business. With a bike, it's about weight, and a business, it's cutting costs.
The Plum Card from American Express Open offers an early pay discount or extra time to pay your bill with no interest.
It helps with my cash flow and lets me reinvest so I could put my money to work.
Find out more at open.com.
I'm Nelson Gutierrez, and I'm a member of Making My Money Work as Hard as I Do.
This is what membership is. This is what membership does.
Terms and conditions apply.
In a big city, the GPS systems often tell you you're in one place when you're actually someplace else, said Madrid designer Enrique Martin.
The problem comes in complex urban environments where we have walls on both sides, where the GPS gets lost and it gives us measurements that are less accurate, and sometimes it even says that it is good accuracy when it is not the case.
I hate it when that happens, don't you? Marti's system uses a sort of inertial guidance system to help the GPS remember what turns and accelerations it's made so that the GPS can tell you where you are.
Our system is able to detect those situations, and using the information from the inertial sensor, it is able to predict a trajectory that is much more accurate than the GPS signal alone.
David Martin, who is working with Marti, says this could wind up in a smartphone app.
In smartphones, we can have the same sensors directly for our application that we have used in our research. In smartphones, we can have accelerometers and low-cost GPS.
They already have a prototype. All they need now is a well-heeled inventor. There's got to be one of those in one of those big city canyons somewhere. The Osgood File. I'll see you online at Facebook, Twitter, and at theosgoodfile.com. This is Charles Osgood on the CBS Radio Network.
Unleash summer at the Mid-Valley YMCA in Albany. Right now, you can have a YMCA 3-month summer membership for only $99 for all membership types, including families. Only $99 for a 3-month membership for all membership types, including families. Now at the Mid-Valley YMCA in Albany. Unleash summer. Call 541-926-4488 now or log on to ymcaalbany.org.
This is Charles Osgood. I live in New York City, where you walk everywhere all year long. And when you're outside that much, you need more than just sunscreen or regular sunglasses. You need polarized prescription sunglasses with Xperio UV lenses. They eliminate 100% of the sun's blinding reflective glare, and they offer maximum UV protection so you can see clearly and your eyes are protected. Ask your eye care professional about Xperio UV Superior Polarized Sun Lenses. It's the best vision under the sun.
Come to Napa today and get a quart of Mobil 1 synthetic oil for just $5.99. That's a big deal, so we got a big fancy voiceover guy.
Behold the savings at Napa. Mobil 1, the world's leading synthetic oil. Just $5.99 a quart.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
No, you couldn't.
Participating Napa Auto Parts stores. Sales price does not include applicable state, local taxes, or recycling fees. Offer expires 6/30/13.
Get tomorrow's news tonight. John Batchelor, Sunday through Friday nights on Smart Talk 1580.
Hey, welcome back from the sidelines. Another intriguing Friday here. As I was hoping, we have a phone number? Oh, we have Cliff? Oh, good. Is Cliff?
Is this Cliff?
The number, I was trying to reach Cliff Kirkpatrick this morning. I've done so many times. I'm so careless. He called me yesterday and said, yes, he'd love to talk about his book, Oregon State University Baseball. I wrote the number down, put it on the bathroom counter last night, and what I did was I put it in a pair of pants that I thought I would be wearing today. But then because it was warm, you see I'm wearing shorts. You see how this all fits? And the pants have the phone number, but there's nobody home to call to get that. So, but we are getting a number here.
753-9565. Don't put it over the air.
All right. Okay. Hang on a second. Hang on, and I will dial this, and we'll see what we can do here.
Oh, no, I can't.
Oops, I hit the wrong. In my panic, I just hit the wrong button. By the way, did you know that if you call them, that you get an answering machine? Let me do this without talking to you at the same time, so I don't hit the wrong button here. I am talking to you. You get an answering machine that talks about 3 newspapers, the Albany Democrat Herald, the Gazette-Times, which I understood, but also the Lebanon Express. There's nothing there. So, must not have had a dial tone. I didn't have the phone to my ear. I must have dialed too quickly, of course. For all 3 papers, you get an answering machine that directs you to which one do you want. 1 for the Democrat Herald, 2 for Gazette-Times, 3 for the Lebanon Express. You hit 2. Then they mention a whole series of things. If you want sports, hit 3. We're sorry. I have reached a number that has been disconnected or no longer in service.
I'll do it. Right.
Let's try this. I just dialed exactly this number. This hopefully is Cliff Kirkpatrick, who is the writer for the Gazette-Times, who covers baseball. Let me put this in. You hear that, sweet lady? We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. We just got this number. It can't be out of service. Suppose maybe not a 1. That might be it.
Call this number.
What number is that?
This one. It's the general number for the paper. I talked to a guy, and he was going to transfer me to the call, but you can't put this on the air.
Well, let me try it without the 1. It may not. Well, no, we do have to dial a 1 from here for 753.
Call this number.
Okay. No 1?
No 1.
I'll tell you what. At home, let's take a break from this. My apology. This is embarrassing. But this is from the sidelines at its best. This is the way it works all the time. And I'll tell you something. I do not understand in this age of communication how you can dial a newspaper. You want to call a newspaper. Maybe you want to get their number, call them up about something important. The first thing is a recorded message. And I think it was in Spanish. It's a long one that finally tells you have the choice. Democrat Herald, Gazette-Times, or Lebanon Express. You hit the correct button, 2 for Gazette-Times. Then it gives you a long choice of departments. You hit that one as sports. Then it gives you a whole number of things, obituaries, yada, 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 yada. Again, finally getting to sports. You hit that one. You hit that number, and it's got to take a minute and a half until you get through, and then you get a recorded message. We had another number for the Gazette-Times, a recorded message. We had another number from the phone book for the Gazette-Times, a recorded message. Every one of them. You cannot get through and talk to people. In this age in which we are supposed to be, in the age of increased communication, it is probably the worst that it has been in my lifetime. 35 in October. Do we have somebody?
They're going to see if he's at his desk. I'll have him.
All right, we'll take our break. We will take our break. We'll come back, and we'll see if this whole mystery is solved. This is actually, I said that I was a whole week away. You sort of get out of the whole feel, even in 1 week for radio. I always knew that from vacation, but being sequestered even more so. But all of a sudden now, I feel it again. I feel the way it always was. It's so much fun. We'll be back.
The Chintimini Chamber Music Festival in Corvallis begins on Friday, June 14th. This highly acclaimed series of performances features professional musicians from around the country who began their musical careers while growing up here in Corvallis. They will be joined by colleagues and guest artists in memorable performances of chamber music by Beethoven, Dvorak, Grieg, Poulenc, Copland, and surprises from Puccini, Wagner, John Williams, and the world premiere of a composition by our own Kenji Bunch. Joining artistic director and violinist Eric Peterson will be violist and composer Kenji Bunch, Kathy Peterson, flute, violist Adam Mathis, and many more stars from home and around the country. Concerts will take place at the First Congregational Church on West Hills Road and the fabulous Whiteside Theater downtown. You can attend all 5 concerts for only $80. Additional contributions are needed and appreciated. For ticket locations and ordering information, see their website, chintimini.org. The Chintimini Chamber Music Festival, June 14, 18, 21, 23, and 25.
Memories are magic, so celebrate your fun times with a Happy Hours photo booth. A fun picture to last a lifetime. Book your Happy Hours photo booth today for birthdays, reunions, retirement parties, graduation, weddings, fundraisers, and more. Unlimited photos, professional attendant, delivery, setup, takedown, and a large assortment of fun props. All you have to do is book your event. Call 541-409-5849 now or log on to happyhoursphotoBooth.com.